do a couple homework problems from yesterday. So I still need to move the 8 to the other side. So this would be day 3? Day 3 that we're doing. Okay, so I've got 2y minus 8 equals x minus 1 squared. I still need to pull that coefficient out because right in this form there is no coefficient for y. So I've got 2 times y minus 4 equals x minus 1 squared. So it's just been brought to my attention that this is x plus 1, correct? Is that better, guys? Okay. So now I know I have a translation. My translation is I'm going to go to, well, let's do the horizontal first. We're going to go to the left one. We're going to go up 4. And that's about it. My vertex is right here. So my vertex is going to be -1, comma 4. P is right down here. I've got to take that 2 and divide it by 4, right? When I divide it by 4, I get a half. So let's start putting some of these pieces in so I can get my directrix and my focus. So since I know what my vertex is, it's -1, 4. So -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. What I love about these is I should always be able to go over and help you, and you shouldn't ever be able to tell me I don't know how to do this. You should be able to do something. You should be able to pull some piece out of something. You don't just sit there and look at it and go, I don't get it. All right? You got to start somewhere. Okay. So then if my vertex is there and my P is 1/2, then I know that my directrix must be down 1/2 and my focus must be up 1/2. Change my color for that. Because P is 1/2. Correct? So my directrix happens to be down 1/2. If this is up 1, 2, 3, 4, then that must be at 3 1/2. So y equals 3.5. Then I've got a focus. If I'm at 4 for my vertex, I must be going up to 4.5. So we're over -1 and up 4.5. And now I just have to graph. I know my parabola is too wide, so it must be out 1 and out 1. And now I can graph it. Whoops. And I should have written in my directrix. Let's make it pretty. Questions? So go ahead and make sure you've got that copied on your homework. Okay, so I have a request to do one of these homework problems from the back. So I'll do number 13. So it says a translation of 3 units to the left, 3 units to the left, and 1 unit up. And that's it. It doesn't tell me anything else. So 3 units to the left, isn't that the x? Right, horizontally? So 3 units to the left is in the negative direction, which makes it x plus 3 squared equals, because we want this form, right? 4p y minus k equals x minus h squared. These have negative signs on automatically when they're positive. Okay, and then we have 1 unit up, which is just y minus 1. We don't have to change that one. And it doesn't tell me anything about it getting wider at all. Okay, that's how we do those. You're just working backwards. Questions? I put the graph in there as just so you could sketch it and like get an idea, but you don't have to. It just says write an equation that describes transformation, name the vertex of the new equation. So the vertex is going to be negative 3, 1 on that one, and that's all you had to do. Yes? For not doing transformational form, you need to write the transformations. It's on the quiz. You've got to be able to explain the transformations. Yes? The translation, yes. Number 15. Sure. So number 15 says a translation of one unit to the right followed by a reflection over the x-axis. Well, if this is an x-axis right here, and I have this, and you reflect it over, doesn't it look like this? Sorry. So that means all that's going to be different is that I'm going to be going to the right one, which is x minus 1 squared. Y, it doesn't have any transformation, but in front of the y is going to be a negative sign. Those are just supposed to make you think. Let's see what I have for the next one here. Number 10. Do we need me to do number 10? Yes? Okay, I'll do number 10 really quickly. Let's move these. Okay, so again, we're not in transformational form. I've got to move this right here, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So negative y plus 2 equals x minus 1 squared. There's a coefficient here with y. Therefore, I need to take that out. I need to factor that out because there is no coefficient in our transformational form. So I'm going to factor out the y, the negative. When I factor it out of this one, I've got to also factor it out of this one, so it's no longer going to be positive, it's going to be negative. I'm going to double check to make sure I did that right. Negative times y is negative y. Negative times negative 2 is positive 2, so I know I did that right. Equals x minus 1 squared. My vertex is what? Aaron, what's my vertex?
Your vertex is 2, it's 1, comma 2.
Good. I'm going to go over there and plot that. 1, 2. Let's talk about the translations. What translations are occurring here? It's going to be up 2 and right 1, and it's going to be frowning. It's going to have a maximum height.
We have to write that as far as
Yeah, so that's what's happening. Those are the translations.
even if so if it goes positive like now into negative y.
I wouldn't have to put that. All right, so what's p? So p is negative 1. So in order to find p, we'd have to divide it by 4. But it's not negative. The negative piece is the going down. So 1/4 is how far from the vertex. Just the negative part just tells me it's pointing down. We don't have to. You can't have negative distance, so you wouldn't talk about p as being a negative number. Does that make sense? So I know that I need to go up 1/4, which is crazy with this graph. I should have put a different graph. And down 1/4. Unless we were to scale it, we could have scaled it, right? You wanted to count by 4s? Let's do that. So it means I've got to change that vertex. So if the vertex is 1, 2, it would be over 1, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 1, and 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 1, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 2. These are by 1/4. I scale of 1/4. So So now, when I do my P, I can go up a fourth, down a fourth. It's negative, so my directrix must be my ceiling instead of my floor, right? That would be at y equals, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, right? If this is up 2, wouldn't that be 2 1/4? 2.25. And finally, my focus is obviously over 1, but it's going to be down a quarter. If this is 2, it'd be down 1.75. And then I just need how wide it is. It's 1 wide. So from this focal point right here, I'm going to go out a half and out a half. So 1/4, 2/4, there's a half, and out a half, because a total of 1/2 and 1/2 makes 1 whole. So make sure you have that one copied down, and then go ahead and turn your homework in. What would you do if the x was what? Move the negative to the other side. Yep. Okay, pausing. Okay, so let's do number 2 on your homework. So in transformational form, is there a coefficient of x? No, so I need to get rid of that coefficient. So I need to divide both sides by a negative. So this becomes -2, y minus 2. And if it helps you out, x doesn't have any translations, right? So we could just simply write, there is none. That kind of helps you with your vertex. Your vertex then is going to be 0, 2. So 0 up 2. My translations, if I want to explain them, are going to be that the only thing I'm doing is I'm going up 2. Oh, and then I'm also going to have a maximum. So if 4p is 2, I just got to cut, if I want to find p, I've got to cut that, cut this into how many pieces? 4 pieces. So when you cut 2 into 4 pieces, I get 1/2. We don't talk about distance being negative, right? It just goes down. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and plot my focus and my directrix using P. So if I go down a fourth, it's only going to be here and here. Since it's a negative graph with a maximum vertex, we're going to draw it like that. Then right here, from my focus, right here, I'm going to go out. I need a total of 2. So I'm going to go out 1 and out 1.
There wasn't a negative, there's a something there.
Would switch. Yep. So it looks like that. If I want to actually talk about what my directrix is up 2, up to the vertex 2 and 1/4 more. So y equals 2.25.
Yes.
It's a half. You're right. I should have done it a half. What was I thinking? Y equals 2.5? We'll just pretend that those are halves.
Okay, so otherwise it should kind of be like in the middle.
Yeah, it should be in the middle. And then my focus, which is right here. We'll put the focus right here. I'll just make my dots a little bit darker. Does that help, guys? Should be here and here. It should be in the middle. This line should be up a little tiny bit more. So my focus, if I were to give it an actual location, is going to be up 1.5, 1.5. So I'm not going over on the x-axis, it's just 0, and I'm going up 1.5. How are we doing? Thumbs up, thumbs down. We ready for new learning tomorrow? It's the same thing. We just have to complete the square to put it in that form. That's what we're doing tomorrow, so don't be absent. You guys were great today.